Hello and welcome back. I'm Nicole, a cottage witch, and this is my January tarot wrap-up. So I talked about this a little bit in, I think, 2 other videos now. So I'm filming on a different, surface. So I'm a little unsure of how this is going to go. So I won't belabor it, but I did get a Jonasa Jaus tarot, which is so exciting. I'm enjoying it. It's very plant heavy. It's a bit witchy. Like, I just love it. So yeah, I've been enjoying this one. And it's completely unlike anything else that I've got. So it's, yeah, it's good fun to use. I'll just leave it at that. Whoops. And then I've been using, so I've been trying to use the Marseille more. So I have the Gay Marseille, which I'll zoom in a little bit here. I love her. Isn't she great? She's so squidgy and beautiful and love it. I read Tarot by Numbers, and I've got Yov Bendo's book, which I'll probably read maybe after the Our Tarot book. I don't know. I've got too many books to read. It's a problem. But I'm trying to learn more about Marseille. And at this point, I think I just have to start using it. And this is oak leaves in it, and how beautiful is that? That's just also perfect for the Ten of Pentacles. So, yeah. Whoops. Tipping my table a little bit. It's one of these like swivelly puzzle board things. I don't actually know what they're called. Anyway, the Gay Marseille is a gorgeous deck. I love the color palette. And it's just so much fun. Like, look at that. How is that not just delightful? So yeah, I've been really enjoying these a lot, and trying to get more comfortable using the Marseille, which, I mean, I wouldn't say I've succeeded yet, but this deck certainly makes it a lot of fun. So yeah, enjoying that one. All right. Then I used the Noble Moon Tarot, but I used it for a really specific, silly reason. I used it for books to do with language learning, which is maybe a little bit weird and silly, and it's not at all a serious reason, but it was a fun reason, and it worked surprisingly well for that. And I really like this deck. It's beautiful and pink and makes me happy, and I should leave it out again, because towards the end of January I kind of got out of my language learning routine. So Arabic was the only one I really stuck with properly, which was my main goal, but maybe I'll leave this out and whack myself over the head with it or something at some point. Yeah, so that's the Noble Moon Tarot. And then I also had out, so I had these 2 decks out, but mostly it was just to look at these 2 cards specifically. So I pulled cards from these decks. This is the Margarete Petersen Tarot and the Death Doula Oracle. And then they just sort of, I keep bumping this, sorry about that. Then they just sort of sat on my dresser for 2 weeks. Just these 2 cards, and I just kept looking at them. And this reminds me of things frozen in ice in the winter. And it's still very much winter as I'm recording this. We had a bit of a spring-like spell in January, and now it's very much back to winter, straight up winter. And then the Empress, which is just beautiful and looks like, well, I'll leave that to your imagination, but also some kind of flower of some sort. And I just found them both so intriguing that they just kind of sat there as like miniature art pieces for a couple of weeks, and that was lovely. And then I used, so I've had the Gothic Tarot out since Gothlit November, and it's a delight. It's so much fun. It's just stupid amounts of fun. I'm really enjoying this one. It can be a little bit pippish in some places, but it's pips with feeling. And a little bit extra sometimes. So yeah, it's like, that's hilarious. And it's just, I'm having a great time with this one. It's so dramatic and ridiculous, but that is kind of Gothic literature for you. And yeah, I'm really glad I got this during Gothlit November. And I will keep using it possibly for the rest of the winter. Like, I mean, really. Yeah, so much fun. A couple other decks that I used together, and I used this one last winter. This is the Tarot of the Abyss. Oops, I'm messing up my puzzle. Oh well. The Tarot of the Abyss I used last winter to connect with sort of the spirit of winter. The Kalia is the closest name I could come up with, but it doesn't really fit in where I live in Canada. I mean, because she's such a spirit of place, to me anyway. So it doesn't quite fit, but it's the closest name I could come up with, and it just works so beautifully for this connection to the earth in the winter. And Anna Turian's artwork is gorgeous as always. I mean, everything she makes is just, her line work is unbelievable. Oh, another card with a snake in it. Cool. So I've been using this a lot, and then this year, alongside this, I started using the Wisdom de Kalia, because I got this. This is Jane Bridson's deck, which is gorgeous. I think these are paintings. You have to go to her either Facebook or Instagram page and message her and get on her mailing list for the next time she does a reprint, because it's just a one-person operation, and she only reprints them like once a year or once every other year or something like that. But they're beautiful cards, and they are very very Irish. So, and I've been learning more about both my Irish and Scottish ancestry and folklore and traditional beliefs and that sort of thing. Herbalism in those two countries in particular. And it's just, I love the faces in this deck in particular, and the mood. They're very moody and beautiful, and I've never been to either Ireland or Scotland, but I'd like to. Yeah, really loving this. Very nice, particularly in the winter as well. And then the last 3 decks that I've been using, I sort of used together, ish, bit heavy on the ish, but in the last few, so January, it has been ridiculous. I mean, on a personal level, it's been very overwhelming and anxiety inducing, and then as soon as you turn the news, it's bananas. I really don't know how Americans are coping at the moment. Probably some of them not very well, and I can't fault you for that. So I've really relied on some witchy things and some connections with plants this month. So I made, and I talked about this in a different video, I made a sort of Sather hedge writing tincture, glycerite technically, that I'm using, and I love it. And I'm making an earth oil. It's still steeping away. But I've done some meditations with plants as well, and lit some candles and put some resins in them, and Dragon's Blood was one of the ones I tried this month after I got this card, actually. And it's beautiful. It smells lovely. It's really powerful. And it's bright red. And it's just, I only have a tiny bit because I got it from a local metaphysical shop. And but I'll have to go back and get some more. But this deck is the Herbal Astrology deck, I think it's called. And I only ever use it in the winter because I've got brighter, more colorful ones I use in the spring and summer. Mostly the one that I made is the one I use. Obviously, because those are the plants I'm most connected with. And like this one I had to look up because I didn't know what it was. So some of these plants I probably will never connect with very closely. Psilocybin I would try for depression if it becomes available to use that way in Canada at some point. It's being researched here, but they haven't, I don't think anything's been approved yet. Everything takes a million years. But yeah, I've been really spending a lot of time with plants this month and trying to get grounded again because my anxiety level went through the roof, and panic attacks are super fun, and dissociation and all that. So I really needed to feel more grounded. So I was hanging out with some plants, and so I used this deck a little bit for that. I like milk thistle. I've got to plant more of it this year because I'm basically out, and it wouldn't grow last year, which, why? It's a thistle. It should grow everywhere. No, it didn't. So I'll see if I can get it to grow. Whoops, this year. And then I've been using these cards are almost the same size, so just separate them. The Witch Sisters Tarot, which I always break out for, say, their spirit flight, path working, whatever you want to call it. The traditions I'm trying to learn about are the Norse, the Sather, and the Celtic sort of journeying traditions, and they ended up merging quite a lot for me at some point, and are very connected with plants in my area. So yeah, but this deck I pull out anytime I do that, and it's perfect for that. It's brilliant. There's the snake that I pulled yesterday. This woman's face just kills me. I love her. The henbane is nice as well, and the poppies. So it's a very powerful deck. It's not very shy about what it wants to do, and it's taken me to some really interesting places. So yeah, it's not in a lot of cards, it's not terribly RWS, which is fine with me. I just sort of read it intuitively. I'm not trying to correlate this to the Two of Pentacles or anything like that. The spiral symbol for me is very connected to the Kaliach and the spirit of the land and springs and rocks and things like that. So yeah, flight, I think it's the Chariot. Yeah. So that's what this deck is for me. It's beautiful and I love it, and I'm very, very glad I got it. The last deck I've been using a little bit in that regard in terms of Sather is the rune deck that I made to learn the runes. So I still, I couldn't say I've mastered them. I mean, I've been using tarot for years and I couldn't say I've mastered tarot either. So, it's sort of a thing that, well, I think I'll always be discovering something new about, for myself. But yeah, because every time I use the runes themselves, so these rocks I found in my area and matched up the rock to what I felt like the rune that it embodied. And I really like them, but I'm not very good at using them because I have to look everything up every time. So I made this so that I can get to know them better. And it has been helping quite a lot because now I associate also some of these images. Like, we don't have wild oxes in Canada, but we do have bison. We don't have there are no wild plains bison in Alberta anymore. There are some First Nations that are trying to bring them back, and I really hope they're successful. That would be incredible. There are some woods bison that are wild herds in the north, in the mountains. but not on the plains. Farmers and ranchers have a bit of a fit every time somebody brings that up. Well, not all of them do, but some of them do. Because I mean, they are hard to contain in a fence. Fences don't really phase them, but they don't phase the elk either, which also farmers don't love. But you know, I kind of don't care. I like the elk. I like that they're wild elk kicking around. It makes me happy. Yeah, so anyway, tangent about bison. But they are important to the area that I live in, and they really should be around. Yeah, so I've been really enjoying using this deck, and some of the Sather meditations I've done, I've used. There's a woman called, what's her name? Oh, I'm blanking on her name now. I'll link her down below if I can remember. But she calls herself a Swedish witch who uses Sather instead of Reiki. And she does these sessions like, you know those Reiki ASMR people? If you've ever watched those, it's a bit like that, but with Sather. And it's not strictly Reconstructionist Sather, because she doesn't use the staff and the thing to sit on, like the stool or the table or whatever. So it is a bit not strictly traditional. But I mean, if you're reconstructing something from very, very few primary sources, there are going to be some new ways of doing things as you go. And she does use runes in a lot of her videos as well, which is quite fun. So sometimes if I rewatch one of those videos, I'll pull out the card that is the rune that she's working with. Yeah, so that's been a lot of fun lately, and really like the thing that's kept my feet connected to the earth. So I don't feel like I just float away into dissociation, because that's not really great. And it's snowing again outside, so maybe I'll leave it there. Anyway, I used a lot of tarot decks this month. I haven't done that lately. Anyway, that's my tarot wrap up for January. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.